Hello, my name is Michael, and today I looked at the poem Report the World's Worst by Boy Kim Ching, and I also looked at the advertisement by Greenpeace called The Future is in Your Hands. I especially chose these two texts as they have a similar purpose and message in which they want to talk about how the environment is slowly deteriorating and how there's a need for some kind of movement to happen in order to prevent this. The first text which I looked at was called a poem called Report the World's Worst by a Singaporean poet named Boy Kim Ching. This poem, as can be seen by the title, is written as if it is a message to William Wordsworth, a poet who lived around 2 centuries ago and wrote some famous poems. One of his most famous works include I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, also known as Daffodils, which we learned in class. It can also be seen that the message is towards Wordsworth, as in the first line of the poem, Boy Kim Cheng puts in the quote, "You should be here, nature is need of you." The whole poem is written with quite a dark tone, as the poet makes the whole poem feel quite desolate, and the audience will probably feel as if they are hopeless. He makes the audience feel hopeless but guilty at the same time, as he includes some key words such as God is laboring to utter his last cry, as he desperately tries to point out that there must be some action in order to prevent tragedies, such as a whale being beached and it being killed by humans. It makes this poem much more meaningful and powerful as he refers to some mythical figures, such as the sea god Proteus from Greek mythology. He says that even the sea god cannot do anything and is hopeless, as what the humans have done to the nature is extensive and cannot be fixed. The poet yet again repeats this notion in the next few lines, as he mentions another sea god called Triton next, and this sea god also cannot take this matter into hand and control it, as the damage which is being done to the environment is too large. The final mythical figure of the sea god Neptune also shows that Neptune himself is now helpless and is a beached whale, and that the humans are closing in to kill the sea god Neptune, and that all hope will be lost. But at the same time, humans do not notice, and they are getting closer to their doom. Apart from the main techniques of the mystical illusions that appear in the poem, the poet also decides to use personification, which is apparent in the second line. The poet refers to the nature as a she, as he says, "She has been laid waste, smothered by the smog." The poet probably decided to personify nature as he wanted to emphasize that nature may also have a feeling and that humans are hurting. Finally, in the poem, the poet uses some rhyme. Although it doesn't appear in every stanza or line, it can be seen such as in these lines. All hopes of Proteus rising from the sea have sunk. He is entombed in the waste we dump. Triton's notes struggle to be free. His famous horns are choked, his eyes are dazed, and Neptune lies helpless as a beached whale, while insatiate men move in for the kill. Poetry and piety have begun to fail, as nature's mighty heart is lying still. Rhymes can be seen, for example, in lines such as sea and free, whale, fail, and also for the kill and lying still. The rhymes overall emphasize the poem in general, and some specific rhymes such as while insatiate man moves in for the kill, and as nature's mighty heart is lying still. The kill and still are very emphasized, and it shows a link between the two, how the cold-blooded man moves in for the kill, and it also emphasizes the brutality of men, while the nature is innocent and it is slowly dying because of the men. Compared to this, the ad which was released by Greenpeace called "The Future is in Your Hands" gives similar purpose and message in which they want to tell the readers of this smashing magazine how the climate change is a reality and there's a need for some kind of movement to prevent the climate change from escalating. Compared to the poem by Boy Kim Cheng, The advertisement by Greenpeace is much more optimistic, and the tone is quite hopeful, as can be seen with the color, as it is much more bright, and there is green up here. The green symbolizes that the future of the nature is in the human's hand, and even though the humans have destroyed it in the past, that there is still a future that is possible where humans are rebuilding it. Furthermore, proportion also plays a fairly large role in this advertisement by Greenpeace, as the size of the hands in this advertisement compared to the smallness of this tree show how the hands and the humans have huge authority over what will happen with the future of nature, and that how the actions of the humans will really be the deciding factors of the future of nature. Overall, I believe that both the poem and the advertisement convey valuable messages about the environment and how there's a need for some movement to happen. But in general, overall, I believe that the advertisement is more optimistic compared to the poem, which is quite not pessimistic but depressing, and that how the advertisement does a better job at talking about the nature and how there's a need for some kind of movement to happen. For this reason, my thoughts are that the poem, which is slightly more negative than the advertisement, gives a better idea of how the nature is deteriorating, but despite the poem giving a better insight into the deteriorating environment, I believe that it doesn't give insight into what can happen, as it only talks about how it is doomed and how even the sea gods or the mystical figures can't do anything. But compared to that, the advertisement is much more hopeful, and as can be seen, I'll go back to it, but the future is in your hands. It shows that there's still hope, and even the colors, as I mentioned before, significantly tell that there's still hope, and that if the human race tries, then there's still hope in the nature regrowing.